as a trainer or even as somebody that's just exercising on their own, if you can be reasonable and honest with yourself about what you're able to achieve in the back part of your mind, you can create self-efficacy, and then you'll be off to the races. And it's all stuff that you can do. And it's tough when you start mixing up ways that you can fail in something that you're trying to create a positive neuro association with.
Welcome to This Helps, where we sit down with the world's leading helpers to find out how they're helping and also what helps them. By the end of this episode, you'll have practical tools to improve your own mental health. I'm Marlon Morgan, founder and CEO of Wellness Together, an organization dedicated to improving the mental health of thousands of people every day. Join me and my insightful Gen Z co-host, Hannah Ravitch, as we sit down for authentic and vulnerable conversations with people dedicated to helping others. What helps? Let's find out. Oh, Hannah, what's up?
Not much. What's up with you?
Just recording an intro. Wanting to let our listeners know we're doing something a little different this week.
Yeah, we are.
Thanks for the support on that. We got a good friend of mine who I've known for a long time, who is a comedian. He hosts his own podcasts. He has been a personal trainer for a long time. He played college football. He's got a very interesting life. He is not only hilarious, but an inspiration to me. He's always helped me stay sort of on track with fitness goals and just gently encouraging and reminding me how helpful it is to my own mental health to stay active. So I'm excited for everyone else to benefit in that same way. One thing that we do as often as we can, in addition to bringing on great authors, thinkers, we also bring on comedians, people who make us laugh. And I would say comedians in general help us make really sad things into funny things and scary things into less scary things by making us laugh. Have you found that to be true?
Yeah, I think that laughter makes everything a little better.
I'm excited for you all to hear from Ryan, so enjoy the show. Ryan Stanger, aka Ryan Stanger from high school that I've known for 30 years. Ryan, you're coming to us from LA. You have been involved in the comedy scene, the improv scene. You've been on a number of different shows. You have your own podcasts. Tell us about that.
Well, I think you should also mention how good of friends we are. You mentioned the time we've known each other, but probably texted yesterday, and we'll text maybe 500 more times tonight. That's important to note.
I was going to see how this goes before I told everyone that we were friends in real life for nearly 30 years. But yeah, we'll leave it in if it goes well.
Okay, fair enough. Got to, make sure that you can distance yourself if need be. But yes, I have a podcast called The Dumbbells. Marlon's guested on it. And it's a comedy fitness podcast where we talk about exercise and fitness and nutrition in a pretty lighthearted, fun, accessible way. It's maybe a little lighter on the information and a little heavier on the fun. But sometimes we hit the perfect balance and get a lot of them in. And we've got a bunch of fun guests, maybe some that have also done this show too. And I also do a podcast on Patreon called the Action Boyz. And it's a really dirty, don't listen to with anybody else, guilty pleasure podcast where me and two other comedians, John Gabris and Ben Rogers, talk about action movies from the 80s and 90s. So, we do a 2-hour movie review of that. So you can imagine the kind of stuff that you're in store. And that's not to say we don't cover the lesser ones. There is TC 2000 that stars Billy Blanks of Tybo fame. So, it's we go all over with that one. Yes.
That's
People
a great
should check
sell.
that out if they're psychos.
Well, I really enjoy the Dumbbells as well. It keeps me motivated and it's always hilarious. I feel like I'm hanging out with you. And so I do publicly and wholeheartedly recommend the Dumbbells, and then more quietly will recommend the guilty pleasure Action Boyz. Ryan, we were talking earlier about how you help people. You've helped people the whole time I've known you. You've often been a catalyst for me saying words like catalyst, but also for people to improve their physical health and also make them laugh. Actually, kind of the premise of Dumbbells, I would say.
Yeah, because it's just, I would say, light information, but there's some stuff about fitness and nutrition on there. We just, joke around and have fun and talk a little bit about some of the information that's going on out there, TikTok trends, whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Daddy chill, Haktua, stuff that's out there.
Pretty early in the episode for those.
I want to keep people hooked. Gen Alpha, we got to keep them hooked. These kids are on their iPads. That's a combination of pods and pads. I don't want to lose the boomers. So yeah.
You had me interested at O vowel, and then you went to pad, and I was just like, what is that? I don't know.
Hannah, have you ever seen an iPod?
I have.
Okay. Like in a museum or something, or?
No. Well, are we talking about like the little tiny iPod, or are we talking about like an iPod Touch?
Do you know what a click wheel is?
Yeah.
Describe.
I think maybe I'm wrong, but my dad used to have this little iPod. Do you think that's right? He used to have this little iPod, and I think it clipped on, and it was like the wheel, and you would click on it, and you would change the songs. There was no screen.
Yeah. That's it.
Can we get him in here?
I'll call him in.
I'd feel more comfortable.
Yeah, no, there were the original iPod. I remember I saw it like in college, and somebody had like 500 songs on it. I fell out of my chair when I heard that. It blew my mind.
Ryan, not to date you too much, but you were the first person that I knew that had a 100 disc CD player in your room growing up. So I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about that, and I'm sure you could dust that off for us.
I mean, it had like a changer in it, like a carousel that held 100 discs.
Did you have to like write corresponding numbers to the slots and like have a little list, or what
I think
was
that would have been effective, but it was more just like a guessing game, a mystery, what you were going to get to. And so the guilty pleasures were on full display if I was just putting shuffle on there.
Yeah.
But the amount of machinery that went into that, because you tried to switch a disc.
It was real loud, and it was like a Rube Goldman contraption. It was like I didn't know what was going on in there, and then 30 seconds later you would hear a song start. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean the amount of robotic precision. It's like AI trying to land a jet plane on an aircraft carrier or something.
Hannah, how we doing? Do you remember those? The 100 disc CD player?
Oh, absolutely.
Hannah, have you ever downloaded a song illegally, or were you born beyond that?
I have not.
Okay. So I can still remember the first song that I got from Napster. Have you heard of Napster?
No.
So it was this highly disruptive thing that went out. It was a database of all these songs, and then you could download them, and then you could put them on your MP3 player. And it was revolutionary, and a lot of big music acts were against it because obviously they weren't going to make money off selling albums anymore. Right. But we all used it. And it was all, we made the bands kind of villainous, and us the good guys. But really, I mean, that's their livelihood, and they made these songs, and that's the negotiation. But I do remember the first song I downloaded from Napster. Marlon, do you remember yours?
I do.
Okay.
I do, but I'm not going to let it out until you do.
Okay, so the impulse right now is for me to say something that is impressive, or like you're like, oh wow, this guy's got a lot of wisdom, is something cool from like a Beatles album or something, like a deep cut or something that like the Rolling Stones like never put out there, or like an Elvis Costello song or something. Depends on which direction you want to go for music hipster snob. Mm-hmm. But it was none of those. It was One Night in Bangkok by Murray Head.
I don't even. Is that from like an action movie or something? I feel
it's like it was a very popular '80s song. It was from the musical Chess, but they released it as a pop song. And I promise you got Marlon for sure has heard it. Hannah maybe, but it's as '80s as it gets. And it's like a total. I probably wasn't even born when it was popular, but it was one of those '80s songs I just loved.
Did your dad like it or something?
No. I think in the context of the play or the musical, it's good, but as just a pure 80s pop relic. It's a funny one.
Never had Napster. Don't know why. I just wasn't into computers enough, maybe. When I finally picked up on that revolution and stopped going to the warehouse or Tower Records to get a $2 tape single, was I finally got LimeWire, which was another website where you could share stuff. And it was the first song infinitely more relatable because my mom liked it. And I obviously also liked it. If I Could Turn Back Time by Cher.
That's a great song.
And you know what? To be honest, Cher did not need the money. She still does.
She was doing fine.
Yeah.
But she was just doing it for the love. So I feel like she's due for some kind of comeback or something.
Ironic resurgence.
Yeah, it depends on where you set the irony meter.
That's fair.
Because I think there would be some genuine like and interest that maybe starts from an ironic place. People trying to understand the 2 tattoos she had on her butt, why she's showing them in the video for If I Could Turn Back Time. But then actually some good, interesting songs, and then people revisiting her film career.
It's a great career.
Won an Oscar.
Her and Cage, yeah, that Oscar.
Hannah, what's your guilty pleasure music-wise? If you can look back to when you were a kid, like the first thing that you were getting pumped to listen to, something maybe now on your Spotify that's favorited, that you might be a little embarrassed to see come up. Not to put you on the spot.
No, that's fine. The first thing that came to mind, well, now there's a couple things.
Well, we want to hear them all.
Camp Rock 2 soundtrack.
Is that like a Disney show or something?
It's a movie.
Okay.
That was the second one. I think it was Disney. It must have been, but like Disney Channel, not like classic Disney. But that growing up was classic
on heavy rotation
for me. Yeah.
Do you remember the song title? Or I'm missing multiple on there. Do you remember your favorite? Don't censor it. Just say what it is.
I know. I'm trying to think of like which one stands out to me. Probably the first song. I think it's called Brand New Day.
Okay.
It's like the introduction almost in the movie.
What kind of camp was this? Was it just a traditional kind of outdoors sleepaway camp, or were they going to?
Is it the same camp from 1 and 2, or is it like a different sort of experience?
It is okay.
Did they build the world by having Camp 2 set in a different location?
It is different. 1 and 2, they are in different locations. And that is important for the plot.
Is it the same cast primarily?
Yes. There's more people in the second one, but the main people are still the same. But it's Camp Rock, which is a music camp. So it is outdoorsy, but it's also music focused. Jonas Brothers, Demi Lovato.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of Jonas, a lot of Lovato.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is where these guys cut their teeth, is in these movies, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they're all kind of former Disney stars.
Yeah.
I knew High School Musical. I didn't know of the Camp Rock series.
Yeah.
And you were not into High School Musical.
I was.
Okay.
But something about Camp Rock, I feel like, speaks to me a little more.
Could you watch it now and still enjoy it?
Absolutely.
When was the last time you watched it?
Probably within the year, but I couldn't tell you when specifically.
Right.
I think we got what we needed to know.
That's cool as hell, dude. That's cool as hell.
Thank you.
Do you play instruments or sing?
I do not.
But I'm the same. Like, I like musicals. I like music. It's not a crazy thing, but can't do any of it.
Yeah. I grew up playing piano, and then I played the clarinet for a while, but not anymore.
Wow, clarinet didn't stick.
No.
That's surprising.
Usually everybody,
usually they all played and love it. It's a useful thing to have. Whatever line of work you're in, you can bring
a lot
a
of
clarinet.
symphonies have a big clarinet section.
They do.
Can you still bang around the piano now?
Yeah, but
okay,
not great.
It's good. I have a 13-year-old kid. It's
Okay.
about to turn 14. I force him to play piano, and I'm not going to let him stop. As long as he's under my roof, he's got to play piano. not funny either time. The little R that I ended at piano, not funny either time. It's all right.
We can explore it. I like it.
But I force him to play, but he loves playing bass. So he also will play bass. But I'm forcing him to keep up with the piano. Is that a good parenting move, or will there be some pathology that comes from that?
Marlon, this is...
But I'm just saying, like, if your parents had really cracked the whip.
Yeah, Hannah, we got to know from you. I mean, I know Stone. He's a great kid, and I think Ryan's doing an excellent job with him.
I think it's good.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, piano is one of those things that I feel like a lot of people, when they get older, are like, oh, I wish I knew how to play the piano.
I've definitely heard that, and so that informed my decision. And that one seems like there's a chance you could flex those skills organically. Clarinet's a tough one.
Right.
You're rarely at like a pool party, it's like, hey, look, what did I just find in my beach bag here? I guess you guys don't want to hear it, but I could,
And you kind of got to like put it together, put the mouthpiece on.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, whoa.
Does anybody got a reed I can borrow? Check your junk drawer. So, yeah, okay. Well, no, it's good to hear. It's good to hear. You worry about this stuff. Resentment could build. The first thing he composes is a song about how much he hates me. I don't know.
Right. Tell us about some of those early days training people in LA. What was that like? You were helping them a lot. Were they always receptive to it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I got a job at a gym. And so people would walk in off the street and want to get some level of instruction. And part of the way you were able to, get some business going for yourself, it's always to pay the club if you work for like a kind of a gym corporation. Mm-hmm. They're always kind of trying to drive revenue through people.
Typically, the gym sales and memberships usually a pretty low pressure experience. So I'm surprised to know that.
You think, yeah, you never have to step into a gym where you're traveling and you're just trying to use the free pass and you kind of have to fake like you're going to be there for a while.
I always feel like they're giving me the real prices of what they'll be no matter what. And then if I turn around and walk out, they won't change. So
no, there's no lost leaders. There's no fake tours you have to go on. You don't ever have to consult Jimmy, the drinking fountain consultant, who also tells you about membership. Yeah. So no, I had to completely participate in all this. And so they would give complimentary training sessions to people. And then you have to kind of, I wouldn't say cold call, but you had to call them and then try to get them down to the gym to use it. And it was a way that you could kind of drum up business. So I think I had people that were presented in front of me that wanted to exercise. And so that was a good kind of warm way into them being somewhat interested in exercise.
I always wonder this because of how many times I've done what you just said, but never showed up. How many people, like percentage wise, would show up to that first session and then stick with you and then sort of have like the level of before and after that you see on like old P90X posters?
What percentage?
Yeah. Is that real?
Yeah. I mean, I would say, the people that maybe got something out of it that was lasting and meaningful is probably like 1% or something. I don't know. People try. People do their best or they have the best intentions. And I always felt bad because there is a pressure, again, in that corporate gym setting to sell. And so they were like, doesn't matter if they show up or not, just sell them on a 20-pack. For me, just getting into it, I was shocked when I came to LA at how expensive things were. Mm-hmm. Fortunately, the prices have come way down on everything now. So that feels great. It's very livable now.
Especially in LA, right?
Yeah. Cost of living exquisitely low in Los Angeles now. So I would see these packages and they'd be over $1,000. And I was like, that's crazy. Like you could buy a car. What are you doing? For this gym? I'm just going to walk you around the gym and show you some jumping jacks. Get a car.
That amount of money at a young age is just like, you just have that sitting around.
It was stunning. I could not believe it. And then I'd be dealing with these kind of numbers. I felt like I was in a movie about, mergers and acquisitions. So, yeah, I mean, this percentage was kind of small and it was awkward to have to sell so much. And it's why I left ultimately. Mm-hmm. But it was a lot of good experience because you got to see a very varied population of people from all kinds of different fitness levels and levels of motivation. And it kind of informed a lot of what my approach would be to training people in the future because it's where I started. So
what did you learn worked well with people? I mean, and also you did also learn, like, you knew finally what was in someone's bank account, because you could say $1,000 and they would just write a check.
If what you're asking is, can I just look at somebody and know if they can afford a 20-pack of training sessions at Sports Club LA in 2004, the answer is yes.
Okay, great.
Now, how applicable that is to, today's climate, it still comes up a lot.
Yeah. It's like a great
Comes
skill
up
to
a
have.
lot. That, clarinet, that I think are both, worthwhile things to know and have in your quiver. So how to inform my training, and this is actually good if people are maybe considering using a personal trainer or hiring one, is I was shocked at how much I would see people that I worked with take on these training sessions, start working with somebody, but not ever ask the person what their goals are. And so it's like, hey, absolutely. Nice to meet you, Myrtle. It says right here, you're 72 years old. Sounds good. We're going to start today. Let's get you on big, heavy chest. It's big back day for Myrtle. Okay, bye. You did it. Nice work. We're going to go right over the squats over there. We got to train for gains. And she's just, if you asked her, she would just say, I want my balance to be better. Yeah, I got it. So we're going to go over here. We're going to work those buys. So that was something I noticed. And I thought, part of having a personal trainer is being able to cater really specifically to individuals, and then, assess what their fitness level is, and then be really detailed about what their goals are, and be able to give that to them. And it certainly assuages some of the guilt of how much you're charging them. If you can create some meaningful value in what you're doing. And then also they're better for it too. They'll stick with it. And so I don't know, there was a lot of positivity that came from that, and that, made it more meaningful for me. And also, even if you're looking at it purely from a financial standpoint, they'd probably stick with you longer if you're able to help them meet some of their goals, or help them even figure out what they are.
Did anyone surprise you? Like, just keep coming and like have a huge transformation?
Yes, definitely. There was this guy, he was an agent. His kind of claim to fame is that he was the last agent that Marlon Brando used. I don't know what his other clients were, because I would just try to wedge in a question about Brando at some point. You didn't want to lead with that, like, hey, good to see you again. And then real quick, tell me about On the Waterfront. Blah, blah, blah. So you'd have to pretend like you were interested in training him in some way, and then just kind of slip one in, like, oh, quick water break. And then, really be honest here. Let's go over the audition tape for The Godfather. So he, to me, seemed like, because he'd train late at night, and people that trained late, at least I noticed anecdotally, that they were less likely to stick with it, because so much stuff can happen in the day. So, you have a 7 p.m. training session, and then it's just, the day runs away from you. Somebody else is running behind. And then you're just tired, and then you're just more likely to cancel, versus people that had a pretty steady early training time. So he was one of those guys that was late, and then, has this kind of hilarious job. And just the look and feel of him, I was like, this guy's going to bail in one day. And he stuck with it, so much so that his shoes stopped fitting. His shoes were too loose. And so he's like, I couldn't believe it. I had to get all new shoes. My feet, I've lost so much body weight that my feet are too small for my shoes now. And so that was a big celebration I remember having with him. So that was a cool one I remember. And that one is one that jumped out at me as surprising. But yeah, I had this woman that I trained too, and she seemed pretty committed. And there was a contest that they had in the gym. It's always great and healthy to make an exercise competition among people that might have some disordered eating and pathologies they're dealing with. But there was a competition.
I bet the gym did well on it, though. Like, great advertising.
Yeah, they seemed fine. And she was really committed to winning that. And if she won, I think they got additional training or something. It was something that, like, at almost no cost to the gym. But anyway, we turned it into a positive. She ended up winning the competition, and then meeting all her kind of aesthetic goals is what she came in with initially. Mm-hmm. And then her level of fitness improved so much. We were trying to figure out ways to expand what she wanted to, get from this training as different kinds of motivators. And so she said she really wanted to do a triathlon. So not an ultra marathon or the ultra triathlon, the one that's huge. I don't know.
They both sound like non-starters for me, so I don't know. I don't know an ultra versus regular.
Well, one of them is there's a marathon, and the swimming is really long. I don't know and I think it's 100-mile bike ride. It's wild. There's other ones that are, shorter, and so we found a good one for her. But she wasn't a super strong swimmer, and so that was something we had to work on. I helped her a little bit. We also worked with another swimming coach, and it was kind of fun because I just got to, direct that a little bit. I felt like training somebody for a heavyweight fight where we're going to get you the best swimming coach in the world. Yeah. The swimming aspect of it was an ocean swim, and it had to be a beach launch. So that means you have to get into the ocean from the beach. And so I was like,
how else do you get in? You take a boat out there?
Well, they'll do it from a dock a lot of times. So it's a lot easier to just be able to jump in and not have to swim past the waves and all that stuff.
That's fair.
So I was reading about it. I'm like, beach launch? So we had to figure that out and I coached her up on that, and she learned and got good at it eventually. And so she was super prepared on the day, all the biking, all that stuff, the swimming and the running part. And then she completed it with a good time. Like, she had a goal for what her splits were going to be, and she passed all those. And so it was really awesome.
Splits are the times.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so it was awesome. I mean, we're joking around.
Yeah.
It was very meaningful. Yeah. And it's something I think about a lot as
changed your life. I can tell.
Yeah.
Once we got to beach launch, I knew that some meaningful change had taken place.
That's what did it. I was going to fold my arms about it and be cynical, but the beach launch, I was like, okay, this is Scrooge running around, being concerned about Tiny Tim and, Christmas spirit. Almost couldn't get Tiny out. Almost couldn't get it, but I got it.
You got it. You got it. You get any kind of Dickens references that you think will be relevant here. Let's just get out with them. One thing that went through my mind for the myself included, normal people that might go and schedule that free session with a personal trainer is that at this point in your career, a person from Malibu that can hire a swim coach, that's a different clientele, I think, at that point.
Yeah. So that's, we're definitely getting into privilege and all that kind of stuff. I mean, if you are a trainer, that'll be the clientele you often deal with. But, I always encourage people to, if they're, looking to learn some new movements for exercise, or if they want to get eyes on them, in trying to execute a difficult movement or do a proper squat or whatever it is, they could definitely invest in a session or two or even 3 to implement a workout and then walk away from it.
I think people feel intimidated or kind of like nervous about it, or they're going to go in there and the trainer's going to be like, look at this guy. At
least in, my own personal experience, if people are up front, I don't mind. The trainer can take you on or not. If you say, look, I can't afford it, or if you don't want to be that vulnerable, saying like, I just want to learn, program to get me going. And
I thought you meant there was a situation in which you show up and the trainer just says, by looking at you, I'm not going to take you on as a client. Is that happening?
Not in my personal experience, but I know that if I had a
fantasy there for me.
You projecting something out there that's inventing?
No.
But it's also important to take into consideration if you find yourself in a specialized population, somebody that's had a major surgery or an injury, or maybe somebody that's, pregnant, you want to investigate as to whether or not they can handle whatever you've got going on. Because there's, you might have some limitations. And, unfortunately, because it's not really regulated by anything, anybody can say they're a personal trainer. People could be a little predatory. And I think it's something, fitness and longevity, and we're seeing it all the time now. There's a lot of hucksters and con men and swindlers out there that
are other villainous 1920s types, tomfooleries,
rascals,
right.
rapscallions.
But aren't there a few different? Because I know you're certified there's certifications.
Yeah, there's all kinds of things that you can ask about and look for.
Like what?
So different kinds of personal training certifications. When I was doing it, National Academy of Sports Medicine, or NASM, was one that was popular and well regarded. I don't know if it's changed now, if there's different ones, but people can get degrees in exercise physiology. So that's all stuff you would want to look for. And then maybe research which are accredited and reputable. The reason I say that and didn't lead with that is that you can have a great personal trainer that maybe has none of those. Somebody that just knows the body, does it themselves, and has been in the game for a long time. And you can have somebody that's horrible that's got them all.
Yeah.
So I think, referrals, recommendations from friends, or people all that stuff is really helpful. And then also trying an introductory session with them if you're going to look for something long term. And even if like they seem great but the chemistry is not right, I would bail.
Yeah, just not a good hang or not nice.
Yeah, all that, or just doesn't speak your language or is on your frequency. I would imagine you guys answer a lot of questions about therapists, like finding the right therapist, and I think it's similar.
That's what it reminds me of. Like a lot of the research for mental health and for therapists it's called goodness of fit research. And it typically takes 3 or 4 times until you feel like someone genuinely gets you or cares about you, or both. That's when, it's usually going to be a good experience.
Yeah. And that completely makes sense. And I would say it's very similar with training. And especially if you've had hard luck committing to something, if you end up buying 50 sessions from somebody you hate, you might not show up again.
No, so that makes sense. That makes sense. But actually, in talking about mental health, and when I had a private practice as a therapist, it would almost always come up. There are so many links between improvement of mental health and physical activity and just that activation or getting outside, or a lot of times the becoming a part of like a CrossFit or a community of people that are, and I heard you on your podcast on the Dumbbells talk a lot about that and the benefits of that. What are some stories or different instances you've seen where it's really helped someone's mental health?
Where it's helped their mental health? Well, I can maybe speak a little more general and then try to get specific, but I think, making sure that the person you're working with is able to be reasonable with what their expectations are of themselves and set them up for success that way. So it'll help promote self-efficacy. So if somebody comes in and says, I want to train 100 hours a week, 5 days a week, 5 a.m., show up, do the hardest workout imaginable, commit to a monk-like diet, have some days where I don't eat anything. You're like, okay. You want to find a nice way that you can maybe steer them for, like, hey, how about you commit to this or that? Or, what are you currently doing? Because if somebody comes in there with these,
That's happening. Someone's coming in there and they're just, I would imagine they see something like a video online or something and that makes them even think that's possible, or? Yeah,
I think because there's all these, Jocko or Mark Wahlberg, 4 a.m. club. If you don't have like $100 million that you made from a Netflix movie that we've never heard of or seen a commercial for, you might not be able to get up at 4 a.m. with, municipal, like showing your shoes, the colorway of your shoes. And so if you're just somebody that's, working a normal job and stuff, you might not be able to stay prayed up and do the Mark Wahlberg workout. But people see this and they're like, he looks great and he's doing good. I want to do that. And so they'll come in and ask for that specifically. And then if it doesn't happen for them, they feel like they failed. And that sucks because there might have been something that would have been, the perfect fit, and they would have gotten really good at that. And then they would have built on that and progressed from it. And so I think, as a trainer, or even as somebody that's just exercising on their own, if you can be reasonable and honest with yourself about what you're able to achieve in the back part of your mind, you can create self-efficacy, and then you'll be off to the races. And it's all stuff that you can do. And it's tough when you start mixing up ways that you can fail in something that you're trying to create a positive neuro association with.
You and I both fans of someone like Dwayne Johnson, The Rock. I think that, I don't want to speak for you, but I'm a genuine fan. But we've talked about a few of the videos. For example, he'll be on like a cheat Sunday or something and just come on with like a stack of pancakes, like 3 feet tall, and like act like he's about to eat it all. You really think he's eating that stuff ever?
Now, Marlon and I have examined these pretty closely, and I would say the ratio of him showing all the food to him actually taking a bite is pretty extreme. Like, I've maybe seen him execute one bite ever.
Yeah.
Of all. It's usually like, hell yeah, we got the peanut butter in between the big rock bananas. We're in the Iron Gym here. And he's always like watching. I got a documentary set up and he swings like his laptop. Yeah. I'm like, don't you have a feeder in your house?
What is that gym he's in? It's always, that gym he's in is always like it's like a tent. It's like a circus tent or something.
Yeah, it looks like you're at a wedding or something and they have like a tent set up.
It looks like Father of the Bride, like Martin Short should be in there planning a wedding.
The wedding just cleared out. Franck is gone and we're about to do some heavy squats. And then be sure to get your maple syrup, put butter on every bite. Hell yeah, Terramana tequila.
Yeah, he's definitely working in that Terramana tequila lately.
No, I'm with you. It's funny, how much do you need and what's the they have all those studies that what's the amount of money you need to be secure.
To feel secure as a person or be secure like safety,
be secure,
Maslow's
safety.
hierarchy.
Yeah, and also to be, thriving. I'm sure it's way below whatever The Rock got to do Skyscraper 2 or whatever,
San Andreas?
Yeah.
It's a great one. Saw it in the theater. Went home and ate a stack of peanut butter pancakes and then just woke up ripped. I don't know. I do get motivated though when I see like action movies, or I feel like kind of like totally nerdy and lame. And like when I walk out of an action movie and I kind of like, you kind of do that walk out of the movie and you go to the bathroom or something, you kind of think, I could do some of that stuff. I'm a big guy. I could, give me $100 million.
Yeah. I feel that too. I like that kind of feeling.
Yeah. You feel kind of invincible, like almost like you want to fight someone for no reason, but then you know that if you did, you just have way too much to lose to ever really do it and look like an idiot.
Yeah, you move away from that. But I remember when the movie Blade came out, I was like, I hope I have an opportunity to kill vampires or something. I know they don't exist, Hannah. I know. But I was like, if they did, I would want to be able to, kill them the same way that Blade did.
Especially Donald Logue. You definitely want to take him out. He's the first one.
Yeah.
He looks like a vampire in real life, just regularly.
Why? The pallor?
Yeah. His color. He looks like Mark Callison, the Undertaker. Looks like, speaking of WWE.
Hannah, what's your experience with personal training? Have you ever had a trainer? Do you participate in any of these TikTok fitness trends?
I have not had a personal trainer. I was thinking about asking this. What would you say to someone who wants to work out, wants to go to the gym? Because I feel like a lot of people are kind of in that boat of like, it's something they want to do, but they don't know where to start, or they're feeling intimidated, or they're feeling afraid of going to the gym and being surrounded by, all these people that seem to at least know what they're doing. Mm-hmm. What would you say to that person?
Is this something you're asking, or are you asking more generally?
For a friend.
Well, what specifically is putting this friend off about starting or doing that? Is it just not having a plan? Is it working out in front of people? Not knowing where things are, that kind of stuff?
All of the above.
All of the above?
Yeah.
Well, that's where one of those, if you have the resources, or trying to see if there's a complimentary one, a trainer, because you'd be surprised at how quick your gym fluency arrives. You go in there and it's like an ant farm or something where it's just all these people running around. You don't even know where to start. But once you have a little bit of a program or a plan in place, you're off to the races. And then that intimidation wears away very quickly. And for the most part, unless they're a psycho or something weird's going on, people aren't going to be too concerned about what you're doing, or people are just, either too exhausted or too into their phones to notice anybody else, even if they seem like they don't know what they're doing. Now, if this person is a young lady there are creeps, like guys are creeps. So that may be annoying. I haven't had to deal with it, but I think as a woman, a lot of times it's a death by 1,000 cuts. Hey, you look like what are you training today or whatever? And it's just like, just leave me alone.
Don't a lot of gyms have like rooms that you can go in? I don't know if this is a thing anymore, but back when I used to go, they had like rooms just for ladies or something. I don't know.
They do, probably the nicer ones, but I don't know if that's a universal thing that's available. But I think that is cool. And I wish that more would do that. Mm-hmm. Again, just given the creep factor of guys. That's my number one priority as a dad, is just making sure my son is not a creep.
You're doing great.
I love that.
Sounds amazing.
I mean, and like guys are surprised by it, where it's just like, oh, just leave me alone. Wait, what? Why? It's like, I don't know. Just trying to do lat pulls. But I would say, not to put people off from going to the gym. I think that today's younger generations are better at all this stuff. What's appropriate, having some level of self-awareness. So I think working with somebody could be really helpful. If you don't have access to that, if you have a friend that maybe is further along in what they're doing with exercise and has some gym wherewithal, that could help them. If they're not going to the gym that you want to go to, you could get them a guest pass. They could come with you. And then also there's so much stuff online now, because people will happily record everything that they're doing and post it. I think before it used to be like, well, this is, if I was in Tracy's garage and had her exact stuff, I could maybe learn something. But people just record themselves in a gym. And so.
Yeah, you've mentioned that, Ryan. You've mentioned that sometimes you'll go in and trip over ring lights and all kinds of other weird setups in the gym in LA. Yeah.
Two views,
obnoxious.
They've got like a huge equipment setup. It's like, what is this, a Jim Cameron movie? So yeah, I think taking advantage of the online resources, and usually if somebody's got a lot of views or seems well regarded, if they're not teaching the perfect or best stuff, they'll at least have some level of organization, and that can help too. Because again, you can overwhelm yourself with everything, but I think to attract a lot of people viewing, they'll have some, this is how you start. This is what you should do. This is how you should organize your workouts. And just having that little bit of a blueprint will erase any, trepidation you have. Because if you just walk in to the gym cold and you don't have any plan in place, it's going to be tough to know where to start.
I feel like since COVID, I tried to go back. I actually haven't been back. We moved to a different part of San Diego, went into a new gym, and my wife and I went together. And then I went to the like hammer strength machines area, and there was just an absolutely Gold's Gym / 90s wrestler, just so many steroids. And here's the thing, it was such a power move. I honestly never went back, and it was the most uncomfortable I felt in the gym. He had a dog with him, and it was like a tiny, almost like an emotional support dog, but not. And he was totally unapologetic about it, and the dog kept barking. And I was like, I feel like I'm in someone else's house that I never wanted to be in. I never went back.
And like, the dog was doing sets, or?
The dog, it was back and buys. So it was like paws all over the equipment. What is the etiquette like typical in a gym? Like, I know
whether or not you can bring dogs.
I have to imagine no pets, but no one was doing anything. This guy he looked like Latimer from the program, that 90s football movie. He looked like he would kill you if you said anything. I was genuinely intimidated and bothered.
Yeah, I think unfortunately it's pretty much a guarantee that there's going to be some psycho in all gyms, and it can come in many different ways. There's this guy that has the dog that's looks like he's on steroids and is putting on a mean face. Yeah. There's the guy that just wears jeans and like work boots and gloves. And you're like, what is, but he's also kind of fit. So you're like, what is his program? And then he just jumps around and you're like, well, maybe there's some genetics there. I don't know if I can wear work boots and jump around and get fit, but
what about the loud exercise guy? The inappropriate noise, loud exercise.
The grunter.
Yeah.
The grunter.
Yeah.
That's a thing. Yeah. I don't know. It's tough. Some of it you just have to kind of endure. We were on the Action Boyz. We were working on different gym types. And something I've noticed recently is the guys that either smell so much like cologne that it's unbearable. I've always noticed people wear cologne every once in a while. Fine. totally fine. I get that. Even if it's too much for my taste, you're like, whoa, 7th grade Sadie Hawkins dance. Come on, boss. But I can even deal with that. It's hit a new level now, at least in LA where I live, to where it's sometimes unbearable, where you're like, this is like some kind of, nuclear summer. It's like, you can't, I'm almost have to leave the gym. And then on the other side of that, there's the guys that the BO is so bad.
Yeah, I feel like that's what Axe was made for, just so that someone could do both. Have horrible BO, but spray the Axe everywhere it isn't, so you can get them both.
Yeah, I'm with you. I've definitely encountered the people that are masking the BO. There's different gradations of BO, but I'm talking about it when it gets to a level of catastrophic. And so we were trying to, how do we classify that on the Action Boyz? We were talking about it. And so the name we came up with was like, there was a real person stinking at the gym today. The question to ask is spray boy for somebody that's with too much cologne, or nature boy for somebody that has too bad a BO. Because it is an important distinction to make. And I'd almost take the BO now.
Yeah.
Never thought I would say that before. Never. Look at me, both you guys. Never.
I get it, right? It's intimate, and it's an intimacy you didn't ask for. It's like, if you've ever wondered what this person would smell like 300 years ago, and to know that about someone really
no, I'm saying I would take the BO over the cologne.
Well, yeah,
now.
but you get the closeness. I mean, we're so lonely in our society. You feel like you know them. You hung out with them. I see it. I get it.
So you're saying that's why it's like
I'd rather know them.
Me craving. We're looking at our phones.
Yeah.
If I just give me some BO and let
that's
me feel
real
like
connection.
A human. Okay.
If I'm smelling someone's really horrible BO, then I know that person more than I would have. I don't want to smell some manufactured scent.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, when Shia LaBeouf started doing that, I was like, that's a great idea, man. Everyone's going to know you. Matt McConaughey, that's why they're doing it. They want to be known. They want to be known and loved. And if you stink and people still write you into movies, there's no better way to kind of do that. Hannah, I know you have been going to a version of a gym. Like I don't know if it's a gym, but you've been getting buff in a different way. Tonight's one of those nights that you are going to go get buff. Tell us how you're doing that.
Tonight's the night. Yeah, it's at a dance studio. I signed up for 3 weeks of shuffle classes. Marlon and I were talking about shuffling a little bit the other day, but
I thought it was just something I was starting to do with age, but Hannah said it's actually cool. So I'm.
What is the shuffle? Like, what is it? A dance? A kind of dance?
Yeah. So shuffling is a type of dance. I believe it originated from specifically EDM, electronic dance music.
Thank you.
And there are different sort of groups within shuffling. Like there's classic shuffling, which would be like the Running Man and the T-step and glides.
We know those,
things
right?
like that.
Classic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's like some more detailed elements, which they call cutting shapes. So that's like other moves where it's like the X step, or it's hard to explain. I feel like you need to just watch it in a video, but it's
I'm getting it though.
Shapes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
it
a tough workout?
Like incredible tough cardio. And
it's straight 1 hour of cardio, and I almost passed out last week, but it was worth it.
I believe it. And also a lot of body weight leg stuff, because you're having to keep a bend in your legs a lot.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I was sore last week after, so.
Yeah. Shuffle is a tricky name. Like it's tough to sell it on Shuffle. Actually, we could punch up the name a little bit.
To bring it back, unplanned, but your dad's iPod, I believe that was actually called a shuffle.
Oh, so, I think it was.
Yeah.
I think it was an iPod Shuffle.
Yeah, or a Nano, but I think the smaller one was a Shuffle because that's all it could do. There was no screen.
That sounds familiar.
And the whole idea would be like the excitement of the unplanned song, because it would always, no matter what, shuffle your songs.
It's amazing how our parents influence us in ways we don't even fully understand. But what's your favorite step to do? Like to cut shapes?
I don't know if I have one.
Like
what's your favorite shape?
My favorite shape?
Mine's a parallelogram.
I'd probably go with a star.
Oh, I wish I picked that.
Way cool.
You can
better.
change your answer.
That is way better, less nerdy.
Marlon, what's yours? Pentagram?
It's not. No. I don't have one.
He nodded his head yes when I said that, but kept a finger up to his mouth like he was shushing us.
I don't want people to know about that.
You don't have a favorite shape?
Only God can judge me at this point. I don't.
Come on.
I mean, I don't know. Cube?
Oh, we're going. I didn't know that was on the
3D.
table.
Yeah, geometric. It is now.
If you want to top both of us, go for a classic. Just say triangle, dude.
Circle.
Yeah, circle. Yeah.
Isosceles? I don't know.
Don't even go specific. It's like now it's cool to name your kid Bill or something. Just go. Don't come out with something too inventive. My kid's name is Skyscraper. You just go like Bill, and then now they'll be different.
It's excellent. That's excellent advice. I don't know. It's a lot of pressure. Shuffling every day. Yeah. What did you think? What did you think about shuffling? Right.
I liked it. Is she shuffling every day, or is it a couple times a week?
Every day she's shuffling.
Every day she's shuffling.
Yeah. Sort of like
I think that's a good way to, get your cardio in, have fun.
It worked for Rick Ross. I mean, he started shuffling every day and then he lost a ton of weight. He looks great. But you have had a pretty unique experience because you've been kind of in that top tier as an athlete, not only in high school, but also in college. And then you've gone on to sort of stay fit and help other people be fit. Can you talk a little bit about that and what that was like for you? And also who modeled that for you? Who helped you get there?
I'm a similar generation. Well, we're the same generation, Marlon and I. And so like kids now, organized sports were encouraged. And I definitely, whether you were fit or not, or good at them or not, you played them because there was really nothing else going on. Mm-hmm. And oftentimes your friends, when you're growing up, 6, 7, 8 years old, played them. So it wasn't like you could just skip out and have a playmate. It was like, no, they're at baseball. So you just kind of had to do it. There was no internet. The internet did not exist. So you just kind of, if you wanted to be around other kids and play, you just were kind of in sports. So I did that and was not good at sports at all, but loved playing them, loved being around my friends.
It's hard for me to believe, but yeah.
And liked the idea of it. I wanted to be good and I would practice them, but it wasn't like I was a natural. It wasn't like, wow, little Mikey, his dad's the coach. He scored 10 goals in one game. The kid's like the most respected athlete as a 6-year-old ever. I didn't have any of that. So I was more just, my parents told me for soccer, I would just run by where the ball was. But at no point did I ever try to kick it or get near it or do anything. I
feel like the kids that were always really good at 6 grew up to be very small and not like great at life. So.
Good. Well, speaking from a size standpoint, it could, you're able to get a little more dexterous if you don't have the same, limb to joint ratio as somebody that's a little taller. And I got as tall as I was going to get pretty early. So I loved them, played them, wanted to get good at them, wasn't a natural. And that might have motivated me to practice a little more. And then stuck with it and had the ones I liked. Basketball was really popular when I was growing up. It always is, but I think it was definitely having a moment. When we were growing up, there's just a lot of exciting stuff happening with the NBA, and they started having these 3-on-3 hoop it up basketball tournaments, and
not to mention that game between the Looney Tunes and Michael Jordan. I think that did a lot.
I think the Looney Tunes were on his team.
That's fair. Yeah, it was like those gross aliens that weren't really
that took over the bodies of other NBA players. No,
you're right. Okay, thank you. We were both there.
Yeah. Well, you witnessed it. What, Bill Murray's in this?
The new one. I don't want to be that guy, but the new one's just such a vehicle for Warner Brothers only. I feel like it's just hard.
I did not watch it when I saw the 2-hour plus runtime of the basketball Looney Tune movie. I was like, I think they might be.
New Space Jam is and it really went back to the well on that one. And
it was, so basketball was having a moment. So we were obsessed and practiced basketball all the time, and you shooting 100 free throws and all that kind of stuff. So we're really into that. And then also we're kind of joking around about The Rock, but there was a big moment for action movie stars. And so that kind of informed some body image stuff that I had then and maybe still have now. I think it could hit people really negatively. And I was probably somewhere in the middle, probably more positive than negative, but I carry some of that with me still for sure. But it was definitely a motivator to want to lift weights and get into regular exercise and be committed to it so that I could see adaptive change happening. And my mom and dad are both really fit and into exercise. And so I had a great resource in my dad who was willing to take me to the gym at a really young age and show me stuff. And so that's where it started. And this will sound super corny, but the Rocky movies, a lot of them feature, all of them feature extended training montages.
Like a montage, yeah. I don't think it's corny at all. I guess it is, so I'll admit it, but I still feel like I want to listen to Eye of the Tiger when I work out.
It does it to me, and it will definitely invoke all those feelings that were very effectively sold in that movie. Those movies are like weird workout propaganda or something. Like it's still worked. It's like a Manchurian Candidate situation where it'll still, that song comes on and I'm like, I got to skip rope, or whatever.
But you got totally buff. You were very buff in high school. The buffest in the school, if you will, at our suburban kind of rural almost high school. But then
what an incredible medal to hang around my neck. But it was from my dad and from the stuff I listed. And I say corny, but just because it's like I like to work out because Rocky did.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. But so all that stuff I feel like was really being sold to all of us. And then my parents were also pretty cutting edge for that time about nutrition. And I didn't get what you'd call lean or really muscular probably until later high school, sophomore, junior year, senior year, that kind of stuff. So I trained a lot, and I think it definitely helped me with sports. But as far as, being able to look buff, whatever that means, came a little bit later. But also I think that was helpful too. If we're looking at, why things happened the way they did, was because it took a long time to get there. So it wasn't
People don't know why things happen. I mean, what happened? I mean, I'm trying my best not to brag for you, but you went straight from school to playing. At that point, Pac-10 was a different league, and you got a full ride to Cal. Yeah.
So played football with Marlon and liked it. We had a lot of fun experiences, and it's interesting because Marlon and I have talked about football and definitely look back fondly at our experiences doing that. And I feel like it's helped me a lot in the life I have now, but I would not let my son play football.
Yeah. Same.
Primarily because of the brain stuff.
Yeah.
But it is, I do feel a slight conflict there because of how much I gained from it. I'm sad that he won't have those same experiences, and it's tough to teach them, outside of it, just as a dad and trying to remember what I got from it. It's weird. It's not as tangible. You're just kind of saying like, hey, remember to, you're part of a team. He's like, what?
Don't let all those people down.
Yeah. There's 11 people and one of them messes up. You just kind of bail on it. Yeah. But, So playing football and then being fortunate enough to have the opportunity to get an athletic scholarship to a good school, all that stuff was really cool. And I had the wherewithal then, I think because I struggled early on, to know that it came from, me investing my time and energy, not in any kind of, I pulled myself up by my bootstraps way. Like I said, I had my mom and my dad, and things kind of fell into place.
But you worked really hard. I think you even missed a few things, in high school because you were working so hard for this goal, and you did really well when you were there. And you still, you work hard now as a podcast host, as an actor, as a comedian.
That's really nice to say. I just want to be clear that I was lucky in how it all rolled out. Because it happened the way it did with having a slow start, I was able to easily connect it to, if I, put in this time in the gym, then good things will happen. If I am disciplined here, then good things will happen. And I got to see empirical data of that taking place. And I feel like sometimes if people are finding exercise a little later in life, they didn't have the early experience when you're getting connected to it of like, oh, I got to just keep hanging in there and doing it and doing it and doing it. And then, oh, finally, at this, these kind of high school memories that can be really vivid, that planted a lot of seeds in me. So I can hang in there with it. Whereas I would say on the other side of that, if somebody that was, we all know these people and they drive us crazy that are naturally lean and then they fall out of shape when their hormones change. It's hard for them to kind of get back into it because they don't have a tool set in place. And I was just kind of lucky that mine was handed to me in that respect.
Yeah, you had success early on. I think you understood more than most people early in life what being fit could do for you, how it could make you more motivated to reach your other goals. And I think even now, knowing you and seeing, you're probably the sharpest person I know. I don't think I've ever called you or we've ever talked where like, oh, Ryan's a little off that day. But I feel like a lot of that is because of how you treat your body, because of kind of the daily and regular things you do. And I was hoping you could share with us what helps you, Ryan.
So none of this is that fun, really. I wish I could have like one kind of magic bullet answer, but it's all the stuff that people are hip to now. So, it's like, it's exercise. It's, pretty clean diet, hydration. This is where people just shut it off, Oh, wow. Exercise helps you. Great. He said to exercise. He said to nutrition. I think reading regularly is great to helping. I think reading regularly is great to add weird letters to words that don't need it. I think it helps you in maybe your focus a little bit, connecting things for what I do.
Yeah, like on a day you're prepping for, if anyone's heard you on a show or on a podcast, they've heard like your jokes are quick. You don't write things ahead of time. You're always on. Like, how do you get into that mindset so consistently?
So what I was like stammering about, I love what you asked me about. How do you stay sharp? And I'm like, I sound like Arnold in Total Recall on Mars or whatever. I think that what I was going to say is I try to read. And so it's oddly tough these days because of screens. Mm-hmm. And even if you're somebody that's aware of that, if you have a moment where you can sit down a little bit and you're being really good about screen time, you usually will use that time to, okay, now I'm going to let myself look a little bit. And so I think you could even improve how much you're looking at your screens by incorporating some kind of reading in your routine. And it doesn't have to be some self-help, how to be a badass 2024. So what I try to do is out of a book, just like a traditional book, not even a Kindle or anything. And so, and it can be anything. It can be, I do a lot of pulpy fiction or, cheap airport books, airplane books, beach books, that kind of stuff. And then I'll throw in some classics and, read the masters and all the ones that are recommended or stuff I wanted to read and never got to, even if it's just a couple pages a day.
So it's not working out, it's reading for you.
Yeah. I think if I'm trying to step outside all the stuff that everybody knows, obviously
everybody knows you're buff.
Well, or just everybody knows to exercise to kind of improve some clarity. And
I'm not sure they do. I always forget it.
I think there's a lot of good information out there on especially vigorous exercise for, neuroplasticity and brain health and all that. So I think, exercising to improve cognitive function as well as all the positive, the other positive things it does for you. But I think the extra kind of twist to put in there is just a little bit of reading out of a book. Read something you like. And the reason I do that is because I think it keeps your imagination sharp. It keeps you thinking about language. You start making connections if you're following some characters, in a book. It can definitely be a biography or it could be a self-help book. I'm not saying don't read those, but
probably helps with attention too. You're sustaining attention for a long period of time.
Yes, for sure. And like I said, keeps you off your phone. And then I think it gets you into a different place. And then when you're, having to make leaps or connections or, give the answers to questions, then you're able to kind of fall right into that. And I do feel like it helps me. And I feel like when I'm not doing that, I won't be as present or on the ball And so sometimes I'll read an actual book, and then sometimes I'll listen to one, like an audiobook. And oftentimes I'll do both at the same time.
Immersive reading, big trend right now.
So that means listening to what you're reading.
Yeah.
So I don't do that. So I'll listen when I'm hiking around to a nonfiction, and I'll read a fiction book and then flip that. And so I'm usually doing 2 different books at the same time, but I try to do fiction and nonfiction so that I don't start mixing up the worlds. Wait, well, who's in this now?
Is there anyone else who sort of helped you get to where you're at? And someone that you feel really like that mentored you?
Well, I was really lucky to have my mom and dad that spoke in real matter-of-fact language and led a lot by example, and were by no means perfect parents, but they were really helpful. And, something that I figured out early on was being able to ask for help. So if I didn't know something or hadn't figured something out, I wasn't afraid to ask for help. And I don't know if that was just in me or if it was something that my parents instilled in me. But I'll say this, if we're kind of going full circle, I think being in gyms from an early age presented that to me, because you would see people that were in shape or fit or doing something that you really admired. And if you ask them about it, they're usually pretty open and receptive to wanting to help or wanting to hear themselves talk, whatever the motives were. And then also there's this culture in good gyms to where people will spot, if you need help on an exercise, or people will let you work in. And then that, if you can try to spin those lessons you learn in a gym space or a positive community space out into your life, you're not afraid to, humble yourself and ask people for help and ask them questions. And I think people would be surprised at how much and how receptive people are. And so I think that that's so valuable if you can say, hey, you know what? I don't know how to do this. And how do I do it? Whatever it is, exercise is a very easy and simple place to start, but I think it can go for anything that you do.
Did it feel good for you to be able to show other people how to do it?
It felt great. It was, it adds to you. So you feel not just fulfilled, but expanded because of it. I think helping somebody is an expansive experience.
So a little vulnerability on our part, and just kind of, especially if we're nervous about something like getting fit or kind of making a change in our lives, asking someone who you feel like has been able to do that, and you can really connect over that.
Yes, absolutely. And to give somebody that's a lot. And I think people obviously understand that in the abstract. How applicable it is tricky because, everybody's up against something different. And here's some more actionable advice. If you're not exercising at all, do one thing. Pick one thing one time a week and start with that. That can be a 10-minute walk. That can be 2 push-ups. That can be, 5 sit-ups, whatever it is, whatever you think you'll do, make it as easy as possible so that you'll do it. Because right away, that will take you to you doing 100% more than what you were doing before. So a small percentage of something is better than 100% of nothing.
So build on it, but take it and feel good about it.
You will build on it, but don't even worry about that. Don't worry about what it's going to lead to. Don't worry about if you can add on it. Don't worry about the snowball effect or any of that stuff. Just commit to something that you will show up for. And if you're looking for something in the nutrition realm, instead of focusing so much on omissions, like I can't have sugar drinks, I can't have ice cream, I can't have dessert, just focus on adding something into your diet. Vegetables, something healthy, lean protein, whatever it is. You can have all the other you normally have, but just say, hey, for this one meal, I'm going to have a chicken breast, whatever, and I'll have potato chips and pasta too, or, whatever.
Just to kind of lower the barrier to entry, kind of the challenges in your mind that exist.
Right.
Like, that's going to feel terrible. I'm going to have to run and be sore for a week, or
the fear of what a drag it'll be, or, sadness, remorse, all that.
Embarrassment, shame.
Sure. People feel like components of grief when they are committing to a diet that's too intense or whatever it is. Restrictive. Yeah. So I think just focusing on the healthy additions as opposed to omissions will help you start. And that's usually the hardest part. And then committing to something that moves your body in a positive way one time a week will help you start and stick with it. And then you'll be off to the races.
Hannah, I want to give you the chance to say anything you want and say some kind of parting wisdom.
It's been fun.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. How do you feel like Gen Z is going to take this?
No, I do think that there's been a shift in what fitness is,
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like a lot of people are pushing for, like, movement is movement, no matter what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like an all or nothing mindset so much for a lot of people. And I feel like, especially for women, a lot of people for a long time wanted to be as thin as possible.
Mm.
And now a lot of women are like, I want to bulk up. And I think that's really cool. So I love hearing about it. I think it's really interesting.
Things have opened up a little bit.
And hearing stories.
And you're crediting Gen
definitely.
Z with that, I'm sure, right?
I am.
I mean, I don't think it's all just Gen Z, but
I do. And I'm not even trying to pander, but I think they're
we'll give
pretty
you
much
credit.
right about everything.
Yeah.
And I agree with everything Hannah says.
Well, they certainly know a lot more. I don't want to be defensive as a cuspy millennial, but I do want to say I had a lot less access to like good information outside of an encyclopedia. So I feel like we're looking to you now. You've taken in the most information from a young age. So please continue to guide us. But those are all really good points. And I feel like it has opened up. It's a little bit less stressful, less muscle beach. You know, Arnold still kind of relevant, but I think that his day has.
Well, he's even moved on from that. I like what you said is right on, because I think that the definition for what being fit or having a perfect body is not the same as what it used to be. And it's certainly opened up more. There's not one ideal anymore. And that's very positive.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
People being interested in fitness overall more than just, I want those arms, that abs, that abs. Uh-oh.
It works.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
All right, Hannah, thank you so much for being here and giving us your take and your input.
Thank you.
You've always been, for me, and I've had the privilege to know you for a long time, and you've always, for me, been my most healthy friend, my most knowledgeable friend when it comes to this, certainly my most hilarious friend and relationship. And so if people want to have a version of that, where can people stay in touch with you?
That was a great ball washing session there. No, so people want to hear some more. Anywhere you get podcasts, you can listen to the Dumbbells. Marlon was an awesome guest on there. That one was a lot of fun. Check him out. And then there's a bunch of other episodes on there, and we talk to all kinds of different people. It's usually pretty fun and light. Dumbbells. And then if you like the more inappropriate stuff, the stuff that probably got edited out of this episode, you can go to actionboys.biz. And that's this other podcast I do with two comedians. We talk about action movies from the 80s and 90s. It's as dumb as it sounds, but it's fun. And that will take you to episodes that are free, so you can try it out, or just listen to the free ones and never listen again. I don't care. However you want to digest what's out there for Action Boyz. Actionboys.biz will take you to anywhere you need to go.
Great. Love that you got in first with that .biz.
There's you can get like .ninja and all kinds of weird stuff now.
.biz was always the best one for like
it felt like the phoniest. Yeah. Like, oh, this is a scam. .biz.
I swear we're an organization or a business, but with a Z. So
that's how you know we're legit, is that Z on there.
Thank you, Ryan, so much for taking the time and sharing with us your experience. It's part of an effort that we are making to continue to bring people who are hilarious on the show, because we know that they help me, they help us. And if we can find someone or something that makes us laugh along with some of the struggles that we have in life, that is a good thing. So thank you for being here, and we hope to have you back in the future. Thanks for joining us today. We hope it helped. Stay connected with us at thishelpspodcast.com.